Hi guys! Today I thought I would do a video that you guys really seem to like when I do things like this, and that is my online dating experiences. So I already did a video about why I don't online date. You guys really seem to like these, and they're I guess just because they're real, maybe they feel relatable, anything like that. But you guys know I'm single. I've been single for a super long time, and I guess these stories sort of have something to do with it. I think that when I first started online dating, like when Bumble first came out, I don't know that I ever went on Tinder. The only time I downloaded Tinder, I think, was when I did that video, my Tinder responses or something like that. But today I thought I would just share some of my more memorable experiences with online dating. Now, I can't remember exactly what year these happened. They all kind of blend together after a while. I think when I first downloaded Bumble, when I first saw like someone was posting that on Instagram, so I downloaded it because it seemed like better than any of the other ways, because girls had a message first, so you're not gonna get like dick pics and like random things like that. I mean, you could, but it just seemed a bit more safe. I went on there and I matched with a few people, messaged them for a few minutes, whatever. And then one guy, we ended up like, texting each other. I remember just being very not closed off necessarily, but just kind of not expecting anything. And I think that's a good way to go into it. I don't know, maybe I was closed off. I'm a very like not trusting person. In the past I've been super trusting, but I remember saying something like, oh, I'm not expecting anything out of this. So I remember like we were texting and we were like getting along really well, but I remember saying this, and this is something that's been like a pattern in my dating life, where I say, like, this is too good to be true, like you're saying all these things, but what's making it real? Like what's making it actually true? You know what I mean? I'm the type of person that you can say whatever you want. You can say you love someone, you can say you're trusting, you can say that you're an honest person, but that doesn't mean you are. Like, actions speak louder than words to me 100%. So I was kind of like hesitant, I guess, and like I really wasn't planning on meeting this guy, but we talked, I want to say for like 2 weeks, and it doesn't seem like that long when you say 2 weeks. Oh, what's 2 weeks? But when you talk the way that like texting and online is now, 2 weeks can be really long. Like, you can really share a lot about yourself in 2 weeks and be really vulnerable. And I feel like after a few days I started breaking down a little. Like, he was really opening up about his stuff and like asking me a lot of questions. And when someone asks you a lot of questions, you kind of automatically feel like this person's interested, they want to know more about me. And this was kind of one of my first experiences dealing with that, I guess, more online. So like, I've been ghosted plenty of times by people I already knew, people in person and things like that. But this was like the first time I started opening up to someone who I hadn't ever met before, and I was just waiting kind of for the other shoe to drop. I'm a very pessimistic person when it comes to dating. It just really made me wonder, like, when someone comes off like they're really great off the bat, it makes me question things. We had talked a lot more than I was anticipating we were going to, and out of the blue, literally complete blue, we were in the middle of a conversation. He goes like, listen, I just like wanted to let you know because I told you I wouldn't shock you or anything like that. I think I actually said something to him, like we had a conversation about how much I hate ghosting and I think it's such a coward's move and so ridiculous. So instead of ghosting me, he literally came out of like the middle of a conversation being like, listen, I don't plan on meeting you, like I don't know why I've really been doing this. And I was like, what? Like, what? Wait. I was just so confused. I appreciated that he said that instead of just like stop messaging in the middle of a conversation and never say anything again, because that's just awful. And I was like, I appreciate that you're saying this, but like, why? We've had conversations about this exact situation. Like, why would you do that? And he couldn't give me a straight answer, just as anyone who supports Trump can't really give you a straight answer as to why. He just kind of was like, I don't know, I just didn't want to upset you. And I was like, you don't know me, like you're not upsetting me, just be honest. So you'd rather just lie to someone, and then once they start being a little bit more vulnerable with you, that's when you decide to do that. And I think that experience didn't really piss me off so much. It really hit me that hard just because I was kind of expecting it just from like my previous relationship experience. It was kind of like a signal or like a foreshadowing of what was to come from all my online dating experience. So that was one. And then I had deleted the app for a really long time and re-downloaded it another time, and again started talking to someone who I again was kind of like from the beginning very skeptical. We did start texting, so I feel like once you start texting, like you're making a kind of like further step. So we got to that point, we were talking for a really long time. We had FaceTime even. The first person I hadn't done that with. I'm a very like cautious person, like I said, so like if I were to meet someone from like Bumble, I would be FaceTiming them first 100%. It makes me more comfortable. But so this guy, we had FaceTime for hours. Like we planned to FaceTime for an hour, and it led through the night. We were talking, we couldn't stop talking, we just got along really well. And he lived kind of far, but not so far that it was like really inconvenient. And I remember saying, just always tell me the truth. Like I'm such a not angry person. Like I can get really furious about things, and you guys have seen my rant videos. But if someone tells me the truth, yeah, I might be upset if it's something that's upsetting, but I'll always be more mad if I find out later, if I find out in another way. Like just tell me. I'm just like such a chill person, especially when it comes to relationships. I've had so much drama and like chaos and fighting and dysfunction in relationships that I'm just all about the honesty. And we kind of did make a couple plans to meet, like sort of, nothing was set in stone, but it was sort of like, oh, what about this day? And then we're like, oh, we'll find out later, and it just never seemed to work out, which is already kind of a bad sign. Like if someone really wants to meet you that bad, they'll do it. But so we talked literally constantly all day long, texting and Snapchat, and just like non-stop. It felt right to me. I was actually really excited about it. I hadn't been excited about someone in a long time at that point, so I felt very excited. I don't know, I just felt good about it. I was like, wow, I'm finally like opening up. And I kind of did that thing where, you know, you're a very closed off person, but you decide, you know what, I'm just gonna let my guard down and open up, and that's what I did. And he had said so many times, like, just trust me, you can trust me, like I'm not gonna lie to you. If I did meet someone, I would tell you. And I trusted him, and even though I'm a very not trusting person, he broke me down, literally. He just kept breaking me down and breaking me down and breaking me down to trust him. And literally at the point where I was like, okay, he completely ghosted me. Out of the blue, not a word. And I remember texting him that day when he didn't text me, because I'm not gonna kind of person who's gonna text you a million times or like freak out. What I did is I think I texted him once that day, just like, hey, or like, how was work, something like that. No answer. And I guess I kind of just was like, oh my god, like, seriously? So I let it be for like a day, like a full 24 hours. I still never got an answer. And then after that 24 hours, I just kind of gave up. I was like, okay, he's not saying anything, and he didn't. Maybe 3 weeks later, still not a word. And I ended up being somewhere close to where he lived, and my friends were like, no, just text him, like, just see if he answers. And he did, which kind of bothered me, to be honest. Like, so you didn't text me in 3 weeks, but now you answered me almost immediately. And we talked just like a little bit. It just felt like, okay, obviously I'm annoyed that we haven't texted in this long. I don't even say annoyed, but just like confused. So you could give me some kind of like, oh, hey, sorry, I was busy, or lost my phone, like anything. And there was nothing. It was just like, it was kind of like the nowadays it's called, what is it called, like haunting or something, how someone ghosts you but they stick around like just enough to keep you intrigued. And it just kind of annoyed me, so I was like, you don't, forget it, like he's not going to say anything about it, I'm just going to not even say anything. And then maybe a week later, I wrote my blog post article about ghosting and like how awful it is. I think he read it. I remember he said something like, it's not so black and white to me. Like he texted me and said, it's not so black and white as you're making it out to be. And I was like, actually it is that black and white. There's no reason to ghost someone ever unless you're actually like, you died. And he was like, it's not that simple, it's not that simple. And I was like, well, give me in a situation then where it's not that simple, where there's actually an excuse. I wish I still had a text message to this day, because it was like the kind of mansplaining thing that, if you wanted an example of mansplaining in the dictionary, that text message would be it. Well, if person A is talking to person B and they really like them, but then they meet person C, they really like them too, how are they supposed to choose? Wait. So your excuse for making ghosting not black and white is by saying that while you're talking to one person, you meet another person that you like too. And now how are you supposed to like talk to the first person about it? Like, I don't know, be a human being with feelings? Especially when person B is clearly me, and I specifically said, just tell me the truth, if you meet someone, it's fine. So what was so annoying was obviously he met someone that lived closer, or that it would be more convenient to talk to or whatever. But instead of just like saying that to me, like, listen, I met someone, like, I'd really like talking to you, and I want to see how it's going to work out with this person. Like, instead of saying that, you just big fall off the face of the earth and act like nothing ever happened. I just don't get why people do that. Girls, guys, anyone, like, why would you do that? You're so much more likely to get a positive reaction if you're honest. And I feel like he definitely knew well enough to know that if he just said that to me, my reaction would have been so much better. And I just don't get that. So that was another experience which kind of really led me to be like, online dating just doesn't work. I mean, obviously it works for some people, but for me it doesn't. It's a pattern, and it's also, I think, just my mindset. So that's kind of when I got to the point of like, I'm never downloading this app again. So I didn't end up downloading it one more time, or 2 more times. I guess 2 more times. One time I actually filmed a video about it, and that was my single girl problems video. It was about someone who I was talking to, and I just didn't feel it from the beginning. I just like, we kind of clicked and we talked and we had FaceTimed, and that time when I FaceTimed him, it was not the same as it was the first time I FaceTimed someone. It was the opposite. It was like, oh, I really hope that when I FaceTime him, I'm gonna like him more, but I ended up kind of liking him less. When we were FaceTiming, he just seemed so like withdrawn from the conversation, and it seemed very like, maybe he was nervous, like I'm not really sure, but it didn't click with me. And when we planned to meet, I was so nervous, but not in like a, ooh, like butterflies nervous. It was more of like a dreading nervous, like not excited nervous. And that's kind of when I felt like, okay, this isn't gonna work out. And he was really cool about it. And just like when we made that, I could link that video below. But it was kind of like we made a plan, and he had to keep pushing the hours back, and then he wanted to push move the location. I was just like, honestly, this is like too much work for the amount that I don't really want to go. And it was the first time I was really like actually had 100% like planned to meet someone, like the fact where I put makeup on, got dressed, everything like to go. And we ended up canceling it, and we still ended up talking after that for a couple of days, trying to stay friends. But it just like, why stay friends with someone who you never met, and it would be inconvenient to hang out with them because they live kind of far. That didn't work out, and that kind of bummed me out. I would just kind of felt like, I think I was more discouraged than anything. It wasn't like he did anything wrong, he didn't ghost me, I didn't ghost him. It kind of just like fizzled out on both sides. And I think at that point I was just kind of like online dating is not for me. You could watch that video of the day that this happened. It's not going to excite me the way you meet someone in person, and there's like a chemistry, and there's like a comfort level of the fact that you've met them before. I don't know, it didn't feel right to me. And the last time I downloaded it was relatively recently, and I don't even know how to describe it. It was definitely, I was still very like going in with no expectations. I think recently I had a lot of friends who had used Bumble to meet someone, and they were actually really successful with it. So I was kind of like, might as well just give it like one last chance. I was bored, and so I downloaded it. I talked to one person. I was so not interested. I was to the point where I didn't even enjoy the whole swiping process. I was just like, it was horrible. So at that point, I had talked to one person who I actually felt like, oh, okay, like we can carry a conversation. And we made it to texting. We talked for quite a while, actually. I can't give you a number of days, I don't remember, but it was like over 2 weeks. And he actually didn't live too far either, and he was a little bit older, more mature. And the thing is, we talked about very surface level things, and that's kind of how I think maybe that's why I felt so comfortable, because we didn't get deep. We didn't talk about anything that would make us feel vulnerable or nervous, but I felt like that wasn't good. Like, if we couldn't talk about that, what were we going to talk about if we met? And we had very similar taste in like humor and TV and like a lot of stuff that we really clicked on, but we just never talked about anything that was like important. Like, for me, meeting someone is such a big step, and like I know a lot of people going on first dates, it's like really no big deal, but for me, because I have such bad anxiety, like, at this point it's so bad. But at that point, even, it wasn't as bad as it is now, but even then, like, going out of my way to meet someone I've never met before is a huge step. Expectations are not, with my anxiety, it just doesn't work that way. And I felt like anytime I shared my emotions or my opinions on anything, whether it was deep or like a TV show, he was like, wow, you have really strong opinions, or like, tell me how you really feel. And like, it just kind of felt like he was I don't want to say talking down to me, but like kind of making it seem like my opinion didn't matter. I was being too passionate about topics. Anytime I tried to ask him about past relationship, family, he just didn't want to get into it. He would say like, oh, this is how many siblings I have, or this is like my family. But it was like factual, not so much opening. And I know a lot of people aren't good at opening up. He never asked me any questions. I think that was my biggest thing, was that I would ask him a question, he'd answer. And usually when you do that, I feel like people ask you the same question back. Oh, how many siblings do you have? Are your parents still together? That kind of thing. They ask you, oh, and what about you? Or just kind of something like to carry the conversation back and forth. And I just felt like I was always carrying the conversation. I would ask him a question, he wouldn't ask it back, and then I would give my answer but didn't feel like he was interested in it. And then when I accused him of it, like, I had to, because I'm just an honest person. I want to share how I feel. And I said, you don't ever ask me any questions. He asked me like where I live, and next time I told him again, like, you still haven't asked me any questions. She's like, yeah, I asked you where you live. Like, it just kind of felt like I was putting in all that effort. I wasn't excited enough to put that much effort in, if that makes sense. I think after that, I was just very Like, there's no point for me. With my anxiety level, meeting someone online just builds up way too much anxious energy. Those were my major experiences. There's a lot of little ones in between. I don't think it's for me. If it is for you, if you've met someone online, let me know how. Like, let me know how it worked out. Did you like them from the beginning? Did you meet really quickly? Did you talk for months before meeting? Did you FaceTime first? Let me know how that worked out for you. I'd love to know. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe to see more from me. Make sure you hit the bell button so that my videos actually get notified, like you get notified my video is up because something's happening. I don't know, but yeah. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!